stream. Okay, we should be rolling on the stream, and I'm going to drop a link into the chat. All right, sorry for the delay. Come on, there we go. And my laptop is being really, really slow. I am so sorry. It's being like all jittery. Okay, there is the link to the stream that's happening right now. Okay, now here we go. So we are now rolling. I got the thing up. I got some memes. We've got our document. We've got let me see, is boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Okay, let me do one more real quick thing for I'm just taking a roll real quick. Okay. All right. Topic of the day. Actually, before we get to topic of the day, I got to do one other thing. Um, so, how should I say this? We got narked out. We got narked out for not being on Teams. I don't know exactly how or why, but we're supposed to make sure. Yep. So yeah, Foxhound, yes, and I am aware that the YouTube live stream is always. I haven't been able to yet figure out a way to make that more concurrent. It usually does lag 5-10 seconds. So yeah, be aware of that. Anyway, so here's the deal. Apparently, I don't know how this goes down, but I've been doing Discord for a while. I think it works incredibly well. But I was busted for not having class on Microsoft Teams. So I am still trying to figure out what I need to. So I need to have Teams as an option. I don't think anybody's saying I can't do things on Discord. I think that's, I don't know. Um, so what do I do? What do I do? I've got any suggestions? I mean, yeah, and I'm with you, Matt. I'm with you, uh, Faulted Path. Yes, I agree with you completely. And the other thing is, so I popped over there today to go just see what the classes were that was set up. And um, there wasn't actually a 496R class, which was also really ironic. When I actually did pop over there, there's no class for me for this. So which means, but here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. Since I have to, and I'll figure out if there's a more elegant solution to this, that's more integrative. But in the meantime, for those that want to join this class on Teams, there's the link. If you want to join this class on Teams, you're free to. And class will be happening on Teams as well. Or you know what I could do is I should set up teams. Um, let me see. So I'm not exactly sure how much like mayhem this is going to cause. So we're experimenting a little bit with. We're experimenting. Let me see something. Oh, okay. There we go. Okay, what I'm going to do is, and hang on. Again, I don't know what the what kind of madness is going to ensue on this thing. And what I'm going to do as soon as if this thing will actually work, um, I was going to bring. Okay, so for the peoples in teams, yeah, I'm just trying to blow up my honest apologies, everybody. This is like, I think there are reasons, but I don't know what they are. This is really just not. Ah, man. Okay, so for the people in teams, is there anything? Is it working? And you can just drop a comment in the chat, um, and I'm just going to leave that over on the other thing. I can also show you what the experience is like. Is that working for anybody on Teams? All right. Okay. Thanks, Anthony. So that's okay, right? Okay. And then I'm going to honestly can't see your screen or my comments. You can't see my screen. Why would that be a thing? I'm really sorry, everybody. Okay, here we go. Oh, that's tight right there, man. Let me, I want to try something. Okay, hang on a second. What do you think of that? No, I got my meme is in the way. Hang on. There. That's Teams over there, okay? And let me move that meme over. All right. Okay. Um, all right. And then I've got one other thing. Let me just see. I'm really sorry. Let's so if this is okay, if the people that are on Teams are okay. I mean, it's not set up with everybody there. I sent you the link, and I think there's three people over there besides me. And then okay, hold on. I gotta send one more invite for the server to one more student. Actually, hang on a second. So, is there anything cool going on? Well, I'm almost done wrapping up with this dumbness. Anything interesting going on that is of note and or noteworthy? Okay, just send an invite to one other student that um, wasn't able to get through. Okay. All right. So we're okay though. So we're okay on Teams, right? We are on Teams. There's me sitting just alone in the white chair. I don't know what that is, but China banned online games for anyone under 18. Wow, wow. Very interesting. Very interesting. More of a 305G topic. Okay. All right. Let us do a couple of things. Let us start with this guy right here, and let us blow that up a little bit. And hopefully that's still going to fit in my grand screen of things. Yeah, it's pretty good. I can maybe move the scissors meme out of the way. All right. So topic du jour. We're going to talk about how do you do job interviews. Okay, so I again really apologize for the dumb delays. We're still going to stop at 11:50 because I got stuff to do, you got stuff to do, and we're just trying to get through this semester and have it be some value. Um, and I ordered the top five just in the order of the votes that they got, and I'm good with you know. Um, let me see. And I added a note that just said these topics might blow past the time we've got today. By the way, does anyone else see the flicker from Teams? Teams is in a constant flicker. If you see me in the little white chairs, it's a regular flicker. But I'm leaving it there just to celebrate Teams. Um, and by the way, the poster there on the left. Let's join hands together to make our hospital infection free. That's real, man. That is real. That is just Anyway, check out my 3450 when it happens in the spring semester. It's all about design, and that's not good design right there. I find a morbid fascination with really bad design, and because I mean, the first step in understanding great design is in understanding when things suck, right? If you can't understand when things suck, then how do you make stuff better, right? So to me, that's the beginning of wisdom, is to know when something sucks. Okay. Um, by the way, I don't. I'm not on. If you have, I don't know if there's a chat channel that's built into Teams. And again, if you're over on Teams, um, and whatever, if you want to join over on Discord, that's fine. But I'll have Teams going every time. Okay. Um, Actually, so Tyler, first step is admitting it. No, first step is realizing it. Second step is admitting it, according to me. And I could be wrong, but that's my sense of it. You have to admitting it is the moral choice, emotional choice that you face um, at the point at which you actually realize it. But if you don't realize it, but I do think there's an intertangle. I think they're entangled, an intertwinement between those ideas, um, if that makes sense. In other words, the likelihood, the willingness that I sort of walk around with to recognize that something I created really sucks. That openness, I think, makes it easier and maybe even possible to see that it sucks. And if you're the kind of person who can't admit it, then I think that you also are not the kind of person who can see it. Tyler, confirm or deny? I think that's so. I'm kind of buying a little more credence back to you that maybe it's a first and second step that's kind of intermingled. Okay. Um, okay. First step, then we were going to talk about. Um, we're going to talk about how do you do well in job interviews in the CS field. Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. Now, let me start by talking about the, in my view, the only interview question you'll ever actually need. Okay, and by all means, please jump in if you've got questions, comments. Um, and yeah, thanks, Tyler. Yep, realization is a sub process in admitting the fault, or admitting the fault is a sub process in realization. But I do think they're tied. Um, yeah, so I've done a lot of interviewing both on the job side. Hang on, we got a hot mic. Who's got the hot mic? Who's hot micing over here? Now everything goes silent. That might be coming in. I might be hearing that over on Teams. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think Kyle's not muted, but I don't know that Kyle was the offender anyway, and Anthony. Um, yeah. Anyway, um, I think so. So interviewing well, I've done a lot of hiring, and here's what I consider to be uh, the only interview question you'll ever need. Okay. Now, there's a caveat here, which is this is the only interview question you're ever going to need to ask when you're the interviewing manager. Okay. Um, if you're trying to hire A players, okay, if you're trying to hire really, really great developers, you might, and you might not be, you might be okay hiring mediocre developers based on the environment that your company is kind of all about. But if you're trying to hire the best developers, and I share this in the spirit of if you're trying to be the best developers, right? that are going to, if that's where you're at. But what I used to do when I was at Novell, now at the time, you have to understand that Novell was basically for about, I don't know, 2, 3 years, Novell was Google, the Google of its day. You know, I mean, what's the hottest company to work for right now? Anybody? As you're looking at interviewing, what's the company that you're like, oh man, that would be amazing to get a job there? In terms of both Google, Amazon, Facebook, Boston Dynamics, really. Brave? That's not just a Disney animated movie, Michael. Adobe or in Utah, Adobe or Pluralsight. Okay, all right. I think in the grand scheme out there, they're the big companies, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, um, and absolutely big in Utah. Yeah, yeah. Qualtrics is big in Utah. Um, yeah. So thanks, Michael. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the company, but um, anyway, it goes like this. Uh, Here's the thing. First of all, you have to understand that the fundamental goal of being a software developer is to figure stuff out on the fly as you get into dynamics. Nobody knows everything, and everybody who knows anything about the industry knows that nobody knows everything. And that what's really critical, more than anything, is your ability to adapt in the moment and not just the crap you happen to know at the time. Okay? So, the worst interview question that I can conceptualize would basically be something like, uh, how good of a PHP programmer are you? If a company is asking that question, you understand too, by the way, and we talked about this in 305G, for those of you that are doubled up, in the land of Dr. K. um, Sorry, I just caught a picture of myself in those stupid white chairs, and it's still just freaking hilarious. So I just wanted to share that with you. Sorry. Um, just understand that every opinion that I express this semester, it's just my best thinking. I could be wrong about everything that I say. And I don't think that's the case because of course all the things that I hold to be true are things that I by definition hold to be true. It's a tautology. But based on my experience, I can offer, my sort of take on things, and then just put it in your hopper. And if it's valuable, use it. If you think I'm a quack, I don't know what I am. But if you think I'm whatever that is, then just don't worry about it. Let it go. It's not binding upon you, in any way, shape, or form. So, and remember, all I want you to do is just, do some writing here, which I don't think I actually talked a ton about it. But oh, and by the way, the secret word is white chairs. Okay, white chairs. Remember we talked about the secret word last time? Um, all right, yeah, that is the secret word that you need to use in your little post. By the other way, we lost, with no notice, we lost one of our new faculty members. Don't know any of the details, but I just picked up a fifth section this semester, which is networking two. So if anybody's in there, you're about to go Dr. K mode for 2690. It has slammed me, that plus everything. I'm just totally slammed. So I'm going to still try to get, just trying to do right by everybody is the bottom line. Okay, Sorry, I'm really distracted today. It's part of it is 2690 where I've got a lecture on campus in person today at 4 o'clock, and I'm just like, I mean, I know the material from a long time back, but that's way different than just kind of being ready to go talk about it, lecture about it, whatever. Anyway, okay. If somebody says, "Do you know how good of a PHP programmer are you?" I just think that is, in my opinion, it is one of the most boneheaded questions that could possibly be asked in an interview setting. Unless the interview was for somebody to work for your company for 1 hour, fixing one bug and then vanishing, then it's relevant. But really, what, anyone with me on this? Why would I say it? Why would I say that? Anybody? Text is fine, chat is fine, and verbal is fine. Why do I think that is the dumbest question you could possibly ask? Yeah, okay. So Tyler says the term good. Yeah, sure. The relative thing, and I'm kind of ignoring that, Tyler, for now. Okay. I mean, it's an excellent point, but it's not central, right? Um, um, yeah, Michael says maybe because you're meant to learn along the way through the job anyway. That's the biggest. That's probably getting there. Getting there. How good of a blank programmer? Yeah, Cassidy, fine. Because it's PHP, Jonathan, fair. But no, here's really, and you're all kind of touching it, okay? But I want to try to clean that up a little bit, some of the ideas. Um, Let me see. Having a developer that knows multiple languages would be able to learn PHP. I think it's typo there, Jack. A lot easier and be more useful in different situations. Sure, sure. Garrett, I think it could be beneficial to know current knowledge if you need quick startup. Yes, if you need quick startup time. But that being said, most of the time, current knowledge will be surpassed quickly. Right, Garrett, correct. Absolutely correct. So here's the issue. We're interviewing to make a hire, okay? We're trying to hire somebody. And we asked this candidate, you know, how well how well do you know PHP? What's your PHP experience? Now, that might be relevant from the perspective of making some hiring. Whoa, we got some Teams traffic going down here. All right, Braden, my man. All right, Braden, thanks for joining the white seats, yo. Keep working it. And don't block my face in the white seats because I can't see the movie. This is where I start to go, this is getting very strange over here, over there on TV. All right, thanks, Braden, for helping out there, man. I appreciate that. Um, so, that's just so funny. Okay, guys, the question was, how well do you know PHP? And all I'm saying is, yeah. Well, the thing is that for the most part, it doesn't frickin' matter. That's my sort of short version, right? It really doesn't matter much. And the reason why it doesn't matter much is because it's all about, I can't remember who said it. Garrett? Yeah, Garrett mentioned quick, if it's quick startup time and we need somebody, but even that doesn't matter. I have seen, developers show up working for me that show up. They don't know the technology, they don't know the platform, they don't know the OS, they don't know the language, and save our bacon in less than a week, right? Because look, there's a reason we give you classes like 4450 analysis of programming languages. Why? Because it's great to know pick language X, right? It's great to know Rust. It's great to know Go, whatever. It's great to know whatever. But it's great to understand the dynamics so that somebody drops random language at you and you're like, okay, I know how to figure this language out. All I really need to know is what is it? What's the paradigm of the language? Is it more declarative? Is it more imperative? Is it more functional? Is it more procedural? You know, what is it? And and then how do I do functions and modularity? And how do I do, you know, you ought to pop out of our program equipped to understand all that. The real question is how readily can you learn? That's the real question, okay? How readily can you actually learn? Because that's what you're going to be doing for the long haul. And I once um, interviewed for a position. Let me see, back up. Joseph, coding is an ongoing learning process. Right. The question is how dynamically you can learn and figure things out. Correct. Absolutely correct. Braden, it seems a little narrow. I think it would apply to some people who aren't good fits. It would reject people who might be good fits. Exactly, because you might be really bad at learning stuff, but all you know from the cradle is PHP. So then you seem like a great fit. I know of an individual, probably if he's not the single most brilliant developer that I've ever known, he's in the top five. And I've been doing this industry thing for a really, really long time, like 40 years ish that I've, played around in this industry. And you've got one of my five smartest people that I've ever worked with in any capacity in the same company as me or outside of it, and interviewed for a place where there was no, I'm not going to name any of the names, but the company that he interviewed for, he was interested in a potential position, and there was nobody on the interview team that could hold this guy's jock, basically. I mean, nobody nobody could hold this guy's calculator. Um, and they were all about, well, and this guy was like incredible at things like machine learning and AI, whatever. They're like, well, what do you know about this one methodology, blah? And he's thinking, and he's like, no, I haven't worked with that one. And that was literally the deal breaker, like he hadn't worked with technology, blah. Like, this is the guy who's going to revolutionize your entire world, and you're going to DQ him because he doesn't know the one technology, right? Um, and which relates to what Braden was saying, that it's going to take some people that would be amazing and just take you out, or maybe you just don't do really well at those kinds of interviews, right? Maybe you don't do really good at the programming test kind of interview. That's a possibility. Um, Michael said, I remember hearing from a veteran in the software engineering field that their main goal in an interview is not to see how well you can do, but how well they can get along with you to get stuff done. Yes, yes. Um, Braden said, in the military, we say how you learn is more important or greater than what you have learned. Yeah, no, that's right. Um, Ty says, I've actually heard that quite a bit, how personality and culture is half the interview. Yeah, and it's learning how to learn. Now, so how do you derive that? How do you get that, out of an interview? How do you tell that? And this is why I really dislike the puzzles. I call them the puzzle solving interviews. I really dislike the puzzle solving. Okay, um, because there are people who can solve your puzzle and are just the worst hire imaginable. In fact, when all you do is hire puzzle solvers, don't be shocked if you populate an entire company. I'm looking at you, Google, with small thinkers who are brilliant in their small niche and then struggle in some areas of sort of broader view. Okay. And Google kind of pioneered, and Microsoft kind of pioneered the programming thing. But I'll tell you what I think is reasonable. Asking a question like, okay, here's a scenario. You've got a this, a this, a that, and a that. How would you approach the problem? But if it's like, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to write this code in this language to do and essentially it's like a Rubik's cube. I mean, it's a little puzzle that you can. Oh, Braden left the white seats. Um, Okay, so here's what I think is, so Garrett said, don't be afraid to say you don't know a particular question and possibly ask for help in an interview. Yes, agree completely. And again, if you're in 305G with me, we talked about the orders of ignorance. That's really in part what this is about as well. Just saying, no, I don't know what that is. If you say that with confidence, it doesn't hurt you. If you act embarrassed and you're like, oh, I don't know what that is, um, and break eye contact, then it doesn't look well. But here's what I think is an interview question that helps to derive and divine that notion of how somebody solves problems. And I used to bring this back. I used to do this when I started doing this when I was at Novell is when I created this idea. Um, Let me back up. First of all, if you're going to interview somebody, you have to first of all understand. Hey, welcome to the white seats. I'm going to do a little scoochie to make sure you guys make your appearance on the Discord. Hang on a second. You've got to have some sense of where are we at? There we go. You've got to have some sense of what are the key success areas. Does somebody need to be a good writer? How big of a job is that? 10%? Good. 10% of their score is about writing. Then how much of it is coding? Maybe that's 40%. Okay, 40%. How much of that is communication? You know how toxic a brutal a-hole can be on your entire organization? Are you interviewing for that? Are you keeping an eye on that? Or are you just like, I need a good programmer who programs good? And then you basically populate your organization, with hot coding a-holes. Well, if you got a bunch of hot coding a-holes on your team, you're not going to succeed in the market, okay? You are not going to succeed in the market. Um, okay, so once you've got that breakdown, you know that there are like 5 success areas and a percentage. You need to craft interview questions. This is when you're interviewing, but I hope this is giving you insight from the perspective of the person who's being interviewed. Okay, and therefore a little bit about maybe what they're doing when they're interviewing you, if they're smart, or what they're not doing. So one of the things that you can do is, if they're not, let's say that there are 5 categories and coding is like 40% of it, and communication is part of it, and teamwork is part of it, and customer mindset is part of it, whatever. But let's say 40%, the biggest single chunk is ability to cut code. um, but you see these other areas that are really valuable, and you're interviewing and they're only asking you code questions, then there's an opportunity for you to backfill and say, tell me about yourself. Well, I love to write. I podcast. I love to communicate verbally. You're basically, even if they don't ask you the question, you give them the answers to the success areas. Okay. And if they're doing it right, they're going to ask you questions that are going to help them to understand your level of capacity in the key success areas. Then when you're done, you can walk through and actually tally it up. There are 5 out of 5 on this category, and but they're average here, and actually create an actual score. And this is what I used to do. Okay, so here's what I call the last interview question you'll ever need. It goes like this. You're just sitting across the desk back when that was a thing, and you're like, have you ever had a situation, and then you just describe some horrible carnage on the work front. You ever had a situation where just like everything was going to hell, like it was like, wild dogs running through sniper fire, blood flowing in the cubes, you know just stuff's just struggling, right? And you ever have a situation like that? And at this point, if you paint that picture graphically enough, Yeah, it's a mass hysteria. Exactly. Thank you, Bill Murray. Um, we're talking biblical proportion here. The first thing that you do is look at their body language when you ask that question. Okay. If somebody is like you express a situation where things were really tough, right? Because it has to do with one's ability to dive into a challenging situation and learn. The second question is going to be, tell me about it. It's not even a question. It's an imperative. But so to begin with, if they're just like, oh yeah, well, you know, especially if they're like, well, my boss was an idiot, and it's a lot of negativity flowing, and it's all about how it wasn't their fault and how they didn't know what to do and they just got out of there. This is not somebody who's going to lean forward in the skis when it's time to learn something. Okay. In contrast, if you're sharing that sort of story, and as you graphically amp it up, when you get to like uh, sniper fire, um, if the person starts to kind of smile and lean forward in the desk, and I've had this happen, and these are the people who are going to save your bacon eventually. And I've had this happen where you're sharing all that, right? And then they go and they're kind of leaning forward and they start to smile. And you go, tell me about it. And they're like, okay. And then they lean in and tell you the story. So, what I would do is think about your own attitude, your own experiences in whatever jobs you've had. And think about your own preparedness for the jobs. Has every boss you've ever had been an idiot? Understand that if that's true, the only common thread is you. So what are you doing? What are you doing in your own career? How many bosses would you not want your new interviewer to have contact with? It ought to be none. But if it's any, what's going on, right? Um, is there such a thing as too formal in an interview? Yeah, I think there is, Jack. I once had somebody show up literally in a three-piece suit with the vest. And like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You look like a doof. Um, okay, Nate says, I had an interview where they asked me, what are your weaknesses? How would you tackle this question? First of all, I think that that's a horrible question because all it really does is test your ability to do gamesmanship. Um, you know, I'm really obsessed with quality, and I've got to sometimes just understand that I've got to let it go, that I can do as well as I can do it, that I'm already better than everybody else. I already have fewer bugs in my code than anyone else, and I should probably at some point just move on, you know. But you know what I mean? I'm too punctual. I care too much. I'm too passionate. I'm just too much. This is why I hate that question. What are you going to say? What are you going to say? I have a poor choice in music. I have poor taste. Okay, thank you, Braden. List of weaknesses: 10 things to say in an interview. All right. Um, yeah. So Nate, number one, I just think if somebody asks me that question, I usually just assume they're not a really great interviewer, for starters. And then I don't know. I usually try to just say, I pick a strength. You understand that every strength has an associated weakness, right? You know, I would say something like, and then still don't admit the weakness. Just be like, yeah, I'm really passionate. And I think in the past I've let my passion get in the way of, you know, whatever. And I've had to learn to overcome that so that I can still be passionate but still be appropriately moderated. You know what I mean? Or, what's your big weakness? I'm not one, I probably struggle sometimes with stupid policies. I just want to get the job done, right? Okay, is that really a weakness? You know, what are you going to, honestly, what are you going to say? Right, I'm the perfect specimen of an employee. Thank you, Garrett, right? I have a tendency to take over the world, right? Um, uh, No, I like that Cassidy. Okay, Cassidy wins the chat. I deflect a lot. Like, for example, what's your biggest weakness? As is that Cassidy? Did you just make that up? I mean, was that your own, or did you pull that from the article or something? Because now that is seriously, Cassidy wins the chat. Yeah, I tend to deflect. No, that's brilliant. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah, I tend to deflect. What's your biggest weakness as an interviewer? I think it would be amazing, amazing. Um, but yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's fantastic. Oh man, no, I really do hate who brought that up in the first place. I do hate those questions. Um, oh, I can be bribed with snacks. Very nice. Um, Let me see. We're almost out of time, and of course we started late, but yeah, that was Nate who asked about the weaknesses. Um, Steve says, if you're applying at a small company, is there any question you can think of to find out if you want to work there? Yeah. Red flags. Um, One of the things that I try to do is take the language, and we can come back to this next week, and I think we should take the things that you know about software engineering and computer science and ping it and throw it back at them. They're like, do you have any questions? Yeah, I was curious about your software process. If you understand software process, which I hope you will, um, you know, I was wondering what the ratio of testers to developers is. I was wondering what kind of, bug tracking system you use. Wondering, what you use for your source code repository and if you like it. I was wondering if they say Git, you're like, yeah, do you have like a private server? Or do you just use GitHub? Um, you take something, in other words, you take something that you know a lot about, and there better be some areas coming out of our program that you like and that you know a lot about. Okay, you might be in the wrong major. Serious, like there's some things that should have hooked you, and if it's operating systems, you might be like, yeah, I was just curious about the decision that you made to go, um, to go native on your smartphone apps, or do you do native on the smartphone apps, or do you use some sort of like common source code based like PhoneGap or something like that? Or what's your opinion about open source software? Um, or hey, yes, such and such a company just recently did this one thing. What do you think about that? Okay, because if you can get the interviewer talking about himself, herself, right? If you can get the interviewer talking, they will perceive you as being smarter and more likable. Weird, but true. So, do you see what I'm saying? Take the things that you're strong at. Um, yeah, and by the way, and we got to wrap up. Cracking the coding interview. I know of the book. I don't know that I have it. To me, any any interviewing process that you can hack by reading a book is a bad interview process. Um, Let me see. So Jack says, what are some sources that I can use to advance my understanding? Like my understanding of your area. Yeah. Or related to that one, Jack, like what's your biggest unsolved question? What's the technical question that you would just kill to have an answer to? And then what happens is when you come back on your next round of interviews, if there is one, first of all, that's a very deep and insightful question. You come back on your next round of interviews having researched that question. And even if you don't directly talk about it, you're going to be better equipped. And yeah, Daniel, can I just say one last thing and then I'm going to cut loose? Easiest way to know people is to know people in the company. Yes. However, people will say this, and I'm going to end on this. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Okay, that's bullcrap. That is just, and I'll tell you why it's absolute bullcrap. If you know everybody in the company and they know you suck, how's it going to help you? Talk to me, right? If they know you're great, then it helps you. So having who you know only helps you if you're great. Being great only helps you if you can get to know somebody through the process, and the more already in the system. I have a really dear friend who was interviewing at Adobe, and he was walking through the lobby with the interviewer, host, whatever, and somebody else comes across the lobby and just goes, hey man, what's up, what are you doing? He's like, interviewing. And then he just looks at the host and just goes, hire this guy, and then just walks on. Didn't hurt. They did hire him. I'm just saying. So do you understand that it's both? It's both what you know and who you know. Each of them separately will not help you, and what and who you know will hurt you. So, um, okay, alrighty, let's wrap up. Let's wrap up. Um, and then for those of you sitting over there in the white chairs, I'd like to thank you guys for humoring me in the white chairs. I don't actually know. We'll talk later about what that experience was. By later, I mean like tonight, tomorrow, something like that. I'll ping you, and just see how I do want to have a situation that anybody who really prefers to hang out on Teams is welcome to hang out on Teams and have the class be an experience. I also don't feel like it would be entirely fair to say we can't run a chat on Discord, especially if it's made available and visible, to anybody however they want to see it. But I'm still working out I've just amped up the degree of difficulty. And then last thing, I really don't want to let go of Discord because Discord is where I live, and your ability to catch me at like midnight tonight, although I hope I'm not up, is way better on Discord than on other environments like Teams. All right. Bye, everybody. I hope that was helpful.